Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The movie starts in Latin America, where kidnapping is at its peak. Every hour, someone gets kidnapped, and 70% of them are killed. Former CIA officer John W. Creasy visits his old friend Paul Rayburn in Mexico. Paul also used to be in the CIA. John asks Paul if God will ever forgive them for what they did while working for the CIA. Paul says that he is not sure about that. He then goes on to tell John to try to control his drinking. He asks John what he is up to these days, to which John replies that he has been doing nothing. Paul says that a lot of people in the city are in need of a good bodyguard, and he reckons John to be a very good one. He tells him about Samuel Ramos, a Mexico City automaker whose young daughter Lupita Pita requires a bodyguard for her kidnapping insurance policy to take effect. The scene changes, and we see Samuel talking to his lawyer Jordan, who tells him that if he is unable to find a bodyguard for his daughter, his license will expire very soon. Paul manages to convince John to take the job. Later, John is in a car with Samuel, who takes a look at his profile and sees that the man has worked for the CIA. Samuel is impressed and asks him why he is working as a bodyguard when he is more than capable of finding a much better job. John tells him that he drinks a lot, and when you drink more than you should, it starts to affect your reflexes. This is why he is not fit to work for the government. Samuel tells him that he has no problem with his drinking, all he wants from him is the protection of his daughter. However, he does tell him not to mention the alcohol problem in front of his wife. They then reach Samuel's house, and John meets Lisa, Samuel's wife, who happens to like the fact that John is American. Lisa then calls her daughter Lupita, who is called Pita by everyone. The little girl says hello to John and then shows him around her room. As John looks around, she tells him that he is her fifth bodyguard and that she hopes he is not going to leave her as others did. They notice that John is sad most of the time, but Pita starts liking him and gets along with him well. She even names her teddy bear John Creasy. One day, John is in Pita's room, where he is looking at the map of her school. As he tries to focus, the parrot in Pita's room keeps making noise, so he opens the cage of the parrot and lets it fly away. The next day on the way to school, Pita asks John a lot of questions. She asks him if it is good to be a black bodyguard in Mexico, and John says that time will tell. She then talks about how kidnapping cases are increasing rapidly in Mexico, as 24 people have been kidnapped since last week. As she asks one question after another, they reach her school, and when John is about to drop her off, she asks him to come in. John goes inside, and Pita introduces him to her teacher, who takes a close look at John and tells him that he looks deeply disturbed and sad, and it is because of the things he has been through in his past. She then advises him to read the Bible and even recites a few verses for him. As she does that, John starts reciting verses of his own, and she learns that John already reads the Bible. While Pita is at school, John hangs outside the school, and when she is done, he picks her up on their way back home, where Pita keeps asking him question after question yet again. She asks him if he liked going to school when he was a kid, and he tells her that he did not like it because his school didn't used to be as cool as hers and that it did not have so many fun things and facilities. Pita keeps bugging him with her childish questions, and John seems to have gotten tired of it, as he tells her that he is there to be her bodyguard and not her friend, so she should stop asking so many questions. Pita gets upset, and when the car stops, she gets out and sits in the backseat. John now realizes that he has hurt her. When he gets home with her, Lisa tries to get chatty with John, and he tries to make her understand that he is not a very talkative person and that he is just there to do his job. He tells her that he is not going to be very friendly with her. That night, he is unable to sleep as things from the past keep haunting him, so he decides to put an end to it. Struggling with alcoholism, burnout and guilt over his actions with the CIA, John tries to take his life, but the bullet in his gun misfires. He then calls Paul and tells him the whole thing. Paul asks him to pull himself together as he stands outside in the rain in the middle of the night. Pita has been watching everything through her window and now starts to understand his pain. The next morning, John takes Pita and her mother to school. John notices that a car has been following them. He asks Pita to give him a pencil, but Pita, being the smart girl she is, goes on to jot down the car number herself. It's Pita's swimming competition, and John is also present there. Despite trying her best, Pita comes third in the competition, and on her way back, she tells John that she will never be able to win. He tells her that it is not like that and explains that she swims faster than everybody else but takes more time jumping into the water. While coaching Peta to become a more confident swimmer, he bonds with her. John and Lisa go to another city, and they leave Peta with John, who trains her. As days go by, the next competition day arrives. John now starts to care for her, as if she is his own daughter. She wins the competition, and both are really happy about that. Her piano classes start, and John takes her there, but when he comes out after leaving her there, he recognizes the car that followed them earlier, as two federal police officers block the street. He understands that something is surely wrong. Realizing that Peta is about to be abducted when she comes out, he tells her to run, and the firing begins, with both parties shooting at each other. John kills 4 of the attackers including the officers, but is critically wounded, and Peta is taken. Recovering from his injuries, John is declared a suspect, but reporter Mariana Guerrero questions the story, as she adds that the policemen they are talking about were not on duty, and on top of that, they have been involved in corruption cases before as well. AFI agent Miguel Manzano relocates John to a veterinary clinic to protect him from the corrupt police. The Voice, leader of the kidnapping ring, demands a $10 million ransom, and Samuel complies, with the help of Police Lieutenant Victor Fuentes. However, the kidnappers are ambushed at the ransom drop, and the Voice's nephew is killed. Holding the Ramoses responsible, the Voice informs them that Peta will be lost to them forever as retribution. Mariana warns John that the kidnappers belong to a powerful brotherhood called La Hermandad, which consists of corrupt officials, police, and criminals, but John promises Peta's mother, Lisa, that he will kill everyone responsible for Peta's death. John goes to Peta's room, reads her diary, and finds out that she actually loved him dearly. He also finds the car number written in her diary and calls the reporter Mariana, asking her all the details about the car. With Paul's help, John obtains a small arsenal of weapons and equipment. He brutally interrogates the gate driver as he goes on to cut off his finger to make him reveal the information he needs and kills him. He points him to a club where he confronts 3 of the kidnappers. Killing middleman Jersey Boy and another criminal, John recovers an incriminating ATM card and another kidnapped girl. He turns both over to Mariana as he calls her and asks her to get to the club. She also reveals that Fuentes is part of the Brotherhood. Manzano interviews Paul, who describes John as an artist of death. He goes on to tell them that now that John has made up his mind to take revenge, he is going to spare no one involved in the kidnapping. Mariana then convinces Manzano to help John wage war against the kidnappers. Waylaying Fuentes' motorcade with a rocket-propelled grenade, John abducts the officer and sets up a bomb in his butt. When he tells him about the bomb, the scared man quickly admits that he had his officers ambush the ransom drop, but discovered afterward that most of the ransom money had already been stolen by Jordan Calfas, Samuel's lawyer. After killing Fuentes, John searches Calfas's home and finds his decapitated body and fax, with bank account information leading to Samuel. John confronts Samuel and also calls his wife. Samuel confesses that Calfas suggested they arrange Peta's kidnapping to claim the insurance payout to pay his father's debts, though they were promised Peta would be unharmed. When Fuentes interfered with the drop, Samuel blamed Calfas for Peta's death and killed him. Lisa, unaware of Samuel's involvement, angrily tells John to kill her husband or she'll do it herself. He leaves Samuel with a gun and the bullet he attempted suicide with, and a remorseful Samuel shoots himself. Mariana and Manzano trace the ATM card to the Voice's wife and find her address, allowing Manzano's officers to infiltrate her home and obtain a photo of the Voice. Despite the Brotherhood's threats, Mariana publishes the photo and passes the address on to John. Taking the Voice's wife and his brother Aurelio prisoner, John is shot in the chest but learns that the ringleader's real name is Daniel Sanchez. He calls Daniel and threatens his family, but Daniel reveals that Peta is alive, offering to trade her for his brother and for John, which John accepts. Instructing Lisa to join him at the exchange, John reunites with Peta in the middle of an overpass, assuring her that he loves her before sending her to her mother. He and Aurelio are taken by Daniel's men, but John succumbs to his wounds and dies happily with a sense of satisfaction. Manzano tracks Daniel down and shoots him dead during the course of the arrest. The end.